You've sent 3 emails. You filled out the contact form twice. You even left a polite comment on the webshop's latest Instagram post. Nothing. Absolute silence. Crickets. Let's say you bought a €100 winter coat from an online boutique based in another EU country, maybe France or Italy. It arrives with a broken zipper, a huge stain, and definitely not the quality you expected. You contact the seller with your legal 14-day withdrawal period. No reply. You send another email. Still nothing. Now you're wondering, because they're in another country, am I just out of luck? Should you call the police? Should you accept you've lost €100? No. Watch this first. Welcome back to WebshopSavvy. Today we're looking at your rescue plan when an online shop simply stops cooperating. We'll cover 2 powerful tools that can help you resolve disputes with international sellers, and they're both completely free to use. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. These aren't tools for every little inconvenience. You don't use them because a parcel is 1 day late or because you change your mind 5 minutes after placing the order. These options are for situations where businesses isn't respecting your consumer rights and refuses to work with you. Let's get started. Let's start with the legal route. If you're having a problem with a webshop in your own country, you would normally contact your national consumer protection authority or consumer advice service. Every EU country has its own system, so the exact name varies, but the goal is the same: helping consumers understand and enforce their rights. But what happens if you live in Germany and the webshop is registered in Spain? Or you're in Denmark and the seller is based in Poland? That's where the European Consumer Centers Network, better known as ECC-Net, comes in. Think of ECC-Net as your free cross-border shopping guide. There is an office in every EU member state, plus Iceland and Norway. Their job is to help consumers resolve disputes with businesses in another participating country. Here is a really nice part. You don't need to hire a lawyer. You don't need to speak another language. And you definitely don't need to figure out another country's legal system on your own. Instead, you contact the ECC office in your own country and explain the situation in your own language. If your case falls within their remit, they'll review your complaint and work together with the ECC office in the trader's country. Together, they'll contact the webshop, explain the consumer rights involved, and try to find a voluntary solution. Now, can they force the webshop to refund you? Well, no. But businesses often become much more cooperative once they realize they're dealing with an official European consumer network instead of one frustrated customer sending their 4th email. Even if mediation doesn't solve the problem, ECC-Net can explain your next options, which makes it an excellent place to turn when a cross-border purchase goes wrong. Here is one of the most important things every online shopper should understand. Not every bad shopping experience is a crime. Sometimes you're dealing with a legitimate business that isn't following consumer law. Other times you're dealing with a scam from the very beginning. Knowing that difference saves everyone's time, including you. Let's start with the first situation. Imagine you're dealing with a real business. Maybe they refuse to honor your right of withdrawal. Maybe they ignore your refund request. Maybe they send the wrong item and refuse to fix it. Or perhaps they're charging fees they never mentioned before checkout. These are consumer disputes. They are very frustrating, but they're usually handled through the business itself, your bank, your consumer authorities, or organizations like ECC-Net. The police aren't normally the right starting point because it isn't necessarily a criminal matter. Now let's look at the second situation. The webshop disappears overnight. The website turns out to be fake. Someone steals your card details. Or you order an expensive phone and receive a box filled with rocks. That's very different. Now you're potentially dealing with fraud or another criminal offense. In that situation, contact your bank immediately to protect your payment method and report the incident to your local police or your country's online fraud reporting service. Whenever you're unsure what to do, ask yourself one simple question. Is this a real business that's refusing to follow the rules, or was the whole thing a scam from the start? The answer usually tells you where to begin. Now, let's say you're dealing with a genuine webshop that simply refuses to cooperate. You've contacted them, you've kept copies of everything, and you've given them a reasonable opportunity to solve the problem. There is another option worth knowing about. Your bank or card issuer may allow you to dispute the transaction through something called a chargeback. A chargeback isn't the same as a refund. It's a payment dispute process offered through card networks like Visa and MasterCard, and the exact rules depend on your payment provider. Here is how it generally works. You contact your bank or your card issuer and explain why you believe the merchant didn't fulfill their agreement. Maybe you never received the goods. Maybe they weren't as described. Or perhaps the seller refuses to respect your consumer rights. Your bank will ask for evidence. This is exactly why I always tell people to save your emails, save your order confirmation, take screenshots, and keep tracking information. A good paper trail can make all the difference. If your bank believes your dispute qualifies under the card scheme's rules, they'll start the chargeback process and contact the merchant's bank. The merchant then has an opportunity to respond before a final decision is made. The process isn't automatic and it isn't guaranteed, but when the merchant refuses to engage, a chargeback can be a very effective option to explore with your bank. Let's put everything in order. If an international webshop refuses to cooperate, here is your 3-step action plan. Step 1. Create a clear paper trail. Before contacting your bank or ECC-Net, give the business one final opportunity to resolve the issue. Send a polite but firm email saying something like, I exercised my legal right of withdrawal on date. I have not received the required refund. If this matter isn't resolved within 7 days, I will consider escalating the case through my bank's dispute process and, where appropriate, contact the European Consumer Centres network for assistance. Keep a copy because you'll probably need it later. Step 2. Contact your bank. If the seller still ignores you, contact your bank or card issuer and ask about disputing the transaction. Provide all your documentation. The more organized you are, the easier it is for the bank to understand what happened and assess your case. Step 3. Contact ECC-Net. If the seller is based in another participating European country, contact your national ECC office. They'll assess whether they can help with cross-border mediation and explain the options available to you. Individual complaints don't automatically lead to investigations or fines, but they can help consumer authorities identify wider patterns if multiple consumers report similar problems. One of the biggest myths about shopping across borders is that you're completely on your own if something goes wrong. Fortunately, that's simply not true. The European Consumer Protection System gives shoppers several ways to resolve cross-border disputes, and your bank may also have tools that can help depending on how you pay it. None of these options are magic buttons, and they don't guarantee you win every case. But if you know your rights, stay organized, and keep good records, you'll be in much better, stronger position than someone who simply gives up. Bad businesses count on people walking away. Smart shoppers just don't. Have you ever had to fight for a refund from an online store? Did your bank help? Have you used ECC-Net before? Share your experience in the comments because I'd love to hear your story. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications and give this video a thumbs up. That way you'll never miss another guide to shopping smarter and safer online. Until next time, protect your data, know your rights, and as always, shop smart.